Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Saturday, September 24th. I'm your host, John June, and this guy over here, that's my homie, Greg Penniman, G Money. What's good?
What's going on? I mean, definitely got a good Sunday coming up. Repping the Giants. We 2-0 for now, so I'm gonna be here supporting strong. Until the schedule gets starting to get real. But they got Dallas this week. They got Chicago, so they could get a 4-0 start here. So I'm kind of hyped. But yeah, actually a pretty surprisingly good Thursday night game. It's got some scoring and points in there, so that was good too as well.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely got to get into some Thursday night football, but I feel everybody's feeling good in New York right now. I mean, the Giants are 2-0. The Jets are 1-1 facing the 0-2 Bengals. So if they could possibly sneak out a win there, they could be looking at 2-1 going into to Pittsburgh to face Mitch Trubisky. So I think it's good vibes all around. I think the Giants, what they're doing is legit, though. I like Brian Dable. I think he's a good coach. Question will always be Daniel Jones.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was done with Daniel Jones 2 years ago. That's the question has been answered at this point. Like they need to just learn how to win. Rebuilding and learning how to win, and then swapping a quarterback. There you go.
Yeah, we got to talk about some Thursday night football because it, like you said, it was definitely a higher scoring game than we anticipated for sure. I think we both took the under here. That did not hit, I don't believe. And due to some last minute shenanigans, Pittsburgh, I think, was 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. I got to get my spreadsheet up, but I think Pittsburgh, we were discussing the game. They were 5.5-point underdogs. So, but Jacoby Brissett and Amari Cooper, that was my takeaway. Amari Cooper, the last 2 weeks has been the number one target by a mile for Jacoby Brissett. So, we talked about him, and I know we both said that he was a wide receiver 2 type play. And I think that he'll continue to be that going forward. Issues with Amari Cooper always end up being that he may miss some games and miss some time and things of that nature. But right now, he's definitely got to be in your lineup as a wide receiver 2 flex option every week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of gives me that, I guess, what Brandon Cooks is kind of doing. Feel like on a bad team, only receiver really that can stretch the field, but he's going to get the majority of the targets, and any deep play or play over 10 yards they're going to get is going to be to that Amari Cooper. So I mean, there's a reason we like Brandon Cooks. I think it's the same reason we could apply to Amari Cooper. Like he's going to get the volume, and he's still a really good player, and he's going to create space. So he's going to be open.
Yeah, definitely. And then you get this upside when obviously Deshaun Watson gets back. So, and you get an upgrade at the quarterback position there. Nick Chubb again.
Oh yeah, that's a dog. Yeah,
that's a dog doing what he does.
Yeah.
And then Deontay Johnson just doing it, getting it done. He was my bust for the year, but he's been getting it done.
Plus, yo, every time, yo.
Every time
11 plus
he's
targets.
been getting it done, despite the the quarterback situation here, and he might even potentially he could get an upgrade too, depending on Kenny Pickett and how he fares. Anything else you took away from the game outside of George Pickens, like ridiculous Odell
the catch? I mean,
catch.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, amazing catch of the year so far, easily probably catch of the year in like the last 2 years with that Terry catch last year. But yeah, I need the Steelers offense just to open up a little bit more. Hopefully, they can get a quarterback change because that will help Najee, Pat Frymouth didn't get involved to like the last drive, and he got 41 yards on it. So like it's they just need some spark. And David Njoku though finally has coming out party for the season, so that was good.
Yeah, his best game of the year, I think, had a career high in catches. So definitely good to see there on his part. Um, Anything else you took away from the game?
No, definitely happy that last defensive touchdown happened though, because I definitely played Cleveland in a couple of leagues. Their defense needed that.
That they definitely did. All right, let's jump into some football. Obviously, we broke down the 1 p.m. games in the part game previews part one. So you could go back and listen to that, or you could watch it on YouTube, or you could watch us live as we do that every Thursday here from either YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter via Periscope. So um, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play. But let's talk about some football.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about all the 4 p.m. games, the primetime games, and starting with this game here, 4:05 p.m. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars 1-1 traveling to LA to take on the 1-1 LA Chargers. This game has a 47.5-point total, where, well, actually have to get the updated line for this game
Facts.
because there's been some significant movement in the game here. So let me just get the most up-to-date line because this one,
See,
with the Justin Herbert news,
Chargers
this one's
-3.
definitely, Jacksonville plus 3.5, and the total is 42.5. So total is 42.5, and Jacksonville is plus 3.5
Power of the Herb.
with Justin Herbert being potentially injured here, potentially having to miss this game with a rib injury that he suffered in last Thursday night's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And so he is questionable to play. He was limited all week, but they were saying he moved well and things of that nature. And pain tolerance isn't really a concern. It's will he be effective enough to actually be able to operate the offense. We saw that there was that one play against on third down against the Chiefs where he could have ran for a first down.
Yep.
He was just clearly in so much pain that he just threw the ball away, just dirted it. Obviously comes back the next play, makes a ridiculous throw like a dart. But it's just, how can they operate their offense? Will he be a detriment? So Chase Daniel took the first team reps there for the Chargers. So it's definitely something to watch. Herbert plays 405, so you have to have a contingency plan. I know, Greg, you picked up Marcus Mariota in our League of Extraordinary People, so he plays in the 425 slate. So that's the perfect pivot, in my opinion. Any other pivots that you considered that might have been available to you?
For that late slot, I mean, Mariota's probably your best option unless you didn't get Jared Goff for the early slot. Uh, and
Jimmy
that's
G.
it. And Jimmy G, yeah, and Jimmy G, yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be
That's probably it though.
as far as I would go.
Yeah,
Daniel Jones if you're really desperate because of the
yeah.
rushing. But
I mean, I might take Chase Daniel after before Daniel Jones.
that's a good point. I mean, honestly, that's actually not a bad idea because Chase Daniel will come in and operate this offense. There's good pieces around him. It's they're playing Jacksonville, which Jacksonville's defense is definitely much improved for sure. But I think a veteran quarterback coming in here with these pieces, these weapons. Let's just jump into the game. Let's just talk about it instead of talking about it. But got to cover some injuries. Keenan Allen, he's limited with a hamstring. J.C. Jackson, he was DNP with an ankle, had a downgrade, so he's doubtful. And then tight end Donald Parham, he's got a hamstring injury. Jacksonville, I want to know what they put in their water because this is the third straight week. Nobody on the injury report. So all the NFL teams just figure out what Jacksonville is doing. Greg, on this game, what do you got?
I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Jacksonville to cover, but I'm gonna take the Chargers to still win, regardless of who the QB is. Chargers being home, and I think they still have a better roster that they get it done. On the Jacksonville side, though, if J.C. Jackson isn't able to go, that does help Trevor Lawrence a little bit, but I still have him as a QB2 superflex conversation. They, were able to get that one last week, and able to, as a team, they were able to shut out the Colts, which is pretty crazy. And as far as the rest of the roster, James Robinson right now is the running back to own for sure. Running back to roster in this offense. Definitely has strong RB2 value, some RB1 upside. Christian Kirk, wide receiver 1 upside as well. But definitely going to be weekly rated top 15 play. And then on the Charger side, depending if Herbert goes, obviously you're playing him. If not, we talked about those contingency plans a little bit. Eckler, he's a strong RB2 with some RB1 upside. I think if Herbert isn't able to go, he might get a little more carries. I'm not sure how it'll be in maybe the passing down work. He'll probably get maybe some more targets because veteran quarterback can use him as a dump down play. Joe Everett tied in one conversation, and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's back. Mike Williams. They both do have some good matchups on the outside, so I like them to both have some wide receiver 1 upside.
Yeah, I'm on the Jacksonville side. Well, I'm going to take the under here. Well, actually, now I'm going to take the over. I was going to take the
Oh yeah,
under.
it's 42. Yeah.
It's 42 and a half, and I'll take the over. Because I do think that Chase McDaniels could still score some points, and Jacksonville, obviously, I like their offense as well. Chargers have a good defense though, so both these defenses can make plays, so definitely something to watch as well. I thought Jacksonville could cover 7 when I thought Herbert was playing, so I think Jacksonville could cover the 3.5.
Yeah.
I will take the Chargers to win. Trevor Lawrence has quarterback 1 upside, I think, in this game, just because the pass volume should be there. He's not going to be, he is athletic. He hasn't run much this year, but he's not afraid to use his legs when he has to, especially down by the goal line. The pass volume, like I said, should be there as well in a game like this where, maybe they're not going to be down as much, but, they're still projected to lose. It could be a high scoring game. Plus, he does throw the ball in the red zone, and when he gets down there, he's looking for Christian Kirk, who, in my opinion, he's got to be a wide receiver 1. Just the production that he's been putting up over these last few weeks, he's getting the targets, he's getting the touchdowns. He's clearly the number 1 receiver in this offense, so I think he's got to be a wide receiver 1 option going forward. Zay Jones still wide receiver 2, 3 in my opinion. He was off to a good start last week. If you watched that game. But the Jags converted on some short fields for touchdowns, and they got up early, and then they just leaned on the run game. So I'm willing to play Zay Jones in a matchup like this. I mean, probably not a matchup like this where the total's not so high. But if you think this game can still shoot out, I'm taking the over in it. I think Zay Jones, will have some opportunities. If not this week, then definitely going forward. Travis Etienne, he's an RB3 flex option. Evan Ingram, he's a nice option at tight end. He's my stream of the week. Has a high, 12. He's 12th in targets at the position, so I think he's definitely in play. And then for the Chargers, Keenan Allen, if he's healthy, I think he's wide receiver 1. I still think that these pass game options, they probably don't have the upside that we maybe thought that they have, but I still think that they're solid plays. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Gerald Everett. I think maybe Keenan Allen probably still has his wide receiver 1, type production just based on volume, while Mike Williams is probably like a high upside wide receiver 2. Austin Eckler, being in that RB1, RB2 range, maybe they lean on him and the other running backs a little bit more this week. And Gerald Everett's still going to be a tight end 1.
Yeah, definitely agree.
And Dammy Mark 1 says, "What's up, Mark? I don't know who that is, but I don't know if your name is Mark. I don't know why you would, damn yourself. I don't think that would make sense. So yeah, what's up?
You're
Moving on to the next matchup, it is the 0-2 Atlanta Falcons traveling to Seattle to take on the 1-1 Seattle Seahawks. This game has a 41.5-point total. Seattle Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites in terms of injuries. Well, the weather, it's okay in this game. It was okay in the last game as well. Damian Williams, he was put on IR with a rib injury. For Seattle, cornerback Artie Burns is questionable with the groin. Cornerback Justin Coleman, DNP with a calf. Defensive tackle Al Woods was limited with a knee. Uchenna Nwosu, he was limited with a shoulder. Quandre Diggs was a DNP with a knee, and Cody Barton was a DNP with a shoulder. This was all from Thursday, all as of Thursday's report. And then, guards Gabe Jackson and Austin Blythe, they're both questionable for the game. So in this game here, I'm going to take the over of 41.5. I'm going to take Atlanta to cover 1.5. I'm going to take Atlanta to win. On the Atlanta side, I really love the Mariota Drake London stack this week. I think especially if you're playing like cash games in DFS, like I think that's a really good stack because Mariota is going to use his legs. I like this matchup. He's my stream of the week. And then Drake London, he's obviously got, the upside that he has. He's been balling these last couple weeks. Cordell Patterson, he's in a timeshare with a rookie, Tyler Algier. So I would probably pick him up and stash him because he had 10 carries in his first game active last week. And Damian Williams just went to the injured reserve. So if you have, spot on your roster, definitely somebody I would look to add. And then, like I said, I'm still starting Kyle Pitts. I think he'll come through for us this week. Seattle is not a team that's great against the tight end. So, I'm definitely going to take a shot on Kyle Pitts, especially after Arthur Smith had to answer questions about not getting him the ball. And then for Seattle, you can take a shot on Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but I really want no parts. I really don't. Penny was awful last week with just 6 carries. I want nothing to do with this offense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the under. I'm gonna take Seattle to cover, and I'm gonna take Seattle to win. I'm not sure how they get it done. Just I don't know how they got that first game done, but they do. On the Atlanta side, I agree with you though. Mariota's a good, I think, almost a great streaming option this week. Definitely a great contingency plan. The best one for this 4 o'clock slot if you're the Herbert owner, manager. So he's playable, especially with that safe floor with his legs. Cordell Patterson, the play for at running back. He's definitely going to be leading these teams in the carries department. And Drake London for sure is definitely emerging as a solid wide receiver too. Kyle Pitts, it's the schedule's opening up, so it can't honestly get any worse. I think this is going to be hopefully a game where you can get to that tight end 2, tight end 1 level as far as rankings. Hopefully top 20 play. And then that would just start, getting his momentum and everything and the chemistry going with Mariota. It's definitely his first time him playing with him, so you gotta get used to that. On the Seattle side, I'm with you really. You really don't know who's gonna be the wide receiver to play, and then it's even worse because they're catching passes from Geno. Definitely, I feel like Metcalf still has a safer floor, but that floor is like wide receiver 3, and then his cap is almost still at wide receiver 3. So I'm gonna see him as that and Lockett as well as a wide receiver 4, some wide receiver 2 upside.
Yeah, Lockett. I mean, Metcalf is definitely the one that I'd be willing to play.
Yeah,
But like you said, his floor is like a wide receiver 3, and the ceiling is like
still it's not.
wide receiver 2.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, we know what the ceiling is, right? Like, but we've seen that with Russ. Like, we haven't
yeah,
seen that with Gene. Like, I mean, we saw some of it last year, but I don't know. This right now, it's tough to reliably count on DK Metcalf, well,
yeah,
especially when you see other guys, or Drake London, right? Like you could have DK Metcalf and Drake London, and you might have played DK Metcalf 2 weeks in a row,
yep.
right? So it's things like that. All right, moving on to this next matchup, we got the 1-1 Green Bay Packers traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game has a 41.5-point total, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2.5-point home favorites. There is a chance of rain in this game. Actually, learn something new, Greg. Did you know that the percent chance of rain is not actually the percentage probability that it will rain? It's so like if it's 40% chance of rain, it's really not 40% chance that it's going to rain. It's 40% of that area will certainly see rain.
Really?
Yeah.
What? No
Yeah.
way. That's 40
I'm
40%
serious.
of that region, of that
Of that
geographic region
of
will
that
see
region
rain.
will see rain.
Wow, that is so misexplained. That was just like it's crazy. It's mind blown, third eye open. Like that's crazy. Nah, that don't make sense. They need to explain that better or put it out there better than something like that.
Oh, so yeah, learn something new every day. That's the goal, at least. Defensive tackle Kenny Clark for the Green Bay Packers. He is questionable with a groin injury. Kicker Mason Crosby questionable with an illness. David Bakhtiari questionable with a knee. Randall Cobb was a DNP with an illness. Christian Watson was a DNP with a hamstring. Alan Lazard DNP with an ankle. Sammy Watkins DNP with a hamstring. I believe Sammy Watkins was ruled out, and
Yeah,
Alan Lazard I think got downgraded during the week, but he's questionable. So basically, you could have a situation where like Romeo Dobbs is operating as the top receiver for Aaron Rodgers. So definitely keep an eye out on that. For Tampa Bay, Mike Evans is out, obviously, with the suspension. Russell Gage limited with a hamstring injury. Leonard Fournette limited with a hamstring as well. Chris Godwin is listed as out. And then gotta double check Julio Jones' status. I believe he's highly questionable for this game as well.
yeah.
So definitely something to monitor where both these teams could be missing their top receivers in this game.
Whole starting lineup looks like
You said what?
everyone but the quarterbacks looks like.
Everyone but the quarterbacks, it looks like. And then on the defensive side for the Bucks, Akeem Hicks, he's out with a torn fascia in his foot. Um, Cole Beasley did sign to the Bucks practice squad,
There we go.
and Todd Bowles said that there's a possibility that he could play this week. So he could become necessary along with
Yeah,
Russell Gage.
yeah.
So, Greg, your thoughts on this matchup here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the under. I'm going with Tampa Bay to cover, Tampa Bay to win. Never thought in my lifetime a matchup between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers would be this unexciting, but yeah, it's looking like it, especially with all these skill players being out. Um, but I think Tampa gets it done because they just have the better defense, like a very dominant defense right now, and Aaron Rodgers with a weaker offensive line, not as mobile as usually, with not getting separation with the receivers, is gonna suffer from that. Um, on their side, I do love Aaron Jones. I mean, like Aaron Jones, matchup is tough, but he's probably gonna be the one getting the most work. Uh, AJ Dillon, so he's more of a has RB1 upside. AJ Dillon in that low end RB2 territory. Um, and as far as the pass catchers, I would probably be out. I'm not willing to. If Alan Lazard goes, then maybe, but I'm not willing to trust anyone just as a late Saturday or Sunday morning ad to play. Um, and on the Buck side, Leonard Fournette can go. He's a RB low end RB1 category with the volume of touches he's going to get. And Cameron Brate, if with this situation happening, I think it could be a desperation tight end to get some targets and maybe get a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the. I'll agree with you. This game is so unexciting, and it's Tom Brady and
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers, and it's like we don't even care.
no,
Um,
no.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna take the under here. I'm gonna take the Bucks to cover. I'm gonna take the Bucks to win on the Green Bay side. Yeah, Aaron Jones is really all you're gonna like. You're really excited to play in this matchup. AJ Dillon, I think he's a floor play for me this week. I don't think his particular skill set matches up well against Tampa Bay. They're known for their rush defense, and AJ Dillon being a big bruising runner. Like I just don't see it at matching up well. Tunyon, he wasn't great last week in the game against the Bears, but I don't think that game was ever competitive at any point.
No.
So they didn't even need him. But I think you could play him this week in this matchup where there's no receivers and they are going to most likely be trailing in this game and have to make some plays. And so I think Tunyon will have to be involved. Romeo Dobbs is interesting just because he is athletic. He's a rookie, so that there's volatility when you play rookies in fantasy. But from a DFS perspective, I think if he's the only wide receiver out there for Aaron Rodgers, I think that there is some value in that. For Tampa Bay, Leonard Fournette, I think, is in a great spot. There's no wide receivers. This run defense isn't very good. So I think he's got like start of the week type allure here in this matchup. If Julio can go, I think he would be the top option for me.
Yeah.
But that's very questionable. So Russell Gage might end up becoming the top target. But there's also Rashad Perriman and
Scotty
or
Miller.
Kobe. I'm open to either of those options in deeper leagues, right? Like I think again, Julio is a top option. Russell Gage is a floor play. He's going to be in the mix for like 6-7 targets. Probably going to catch 5 to 7 of them. So that's definitely he's definitely in line for that. But Perriman has the upside that you would look for if a Julio or Mike Evans. Mike Evans is obviously out. Julio, we don't know, but Perriman has the deep ball ability. So it's possible. And then I can say it every week. I'll continue to say it. Stash Rachaad White, please. Just hold him. Like, if he's out there on waivers, just pick him up. If you have an extra spot, somebody in your on your team that's in the 1 p.m. slate, they underperform, drop them, pick up Rachaad White, and, just hold him. Like, Leonard Fournette's already dealing with the hamstring. I think Rachaad White's skill set will be perfect, with Tom Brady and his pass catching. So let's do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel you. Leonard Fournette banged up after every run. So yeah.
Let's move on to this next matchup here. We've got the 1-1 LA Rams traveling to Arizona to take on the 1-1 Arizona Cardinals. This game has a 50.5 point total, where the LA Rams are 4-point road favorites. The weather's okay in this game. In terms of injuries, Rondale Moore is out with a hamstring. James Conner will be a game-time decision with that ankle injury. J.J. Watt, questionable with a calf. Linebacker Ezekiel Turner I believe he plays for the Rams. I didn't specify in my notes, but he's questionable. Van Jefferson, wide receiver for the Rams, most likely out with a knee. Cornerbacks Kobe Durant and David Long Jr. are limited and DMP respectively. They're both questionable. In terms of this matchup, Greg, I am going to take the under here. I'm going to take the Rams to cover. I'm going to take the Rams to win. I guess you play Kyler this week. Like, you have to, right?
Yeah. You're trapped. Yeah. You're trapped in this.
There's no way out of it. So you're just going to play him. Ertz is a tight end one option. Brown and Dortch are both 4 plays at the wide receiver position. I'm really, really disappointed in Marquise Brown. Like, I feel like the upside should be greater. I mean, this offense as a whole is just terrible. Yeah. It's just literally like, hey, Kyler, make a play. Hey, Kyler, make a play.
It's like, little backyard football at this point.
Yeah. So I can't even blame Marquise at this point. I just like you left. Remember, you left Baltimore to go to this, bro. Just remember.
Yeah, I don't.
Um,
Yeah.
and then waiting on confirmation for James Conner again, like his availability, but willing to play either Williams or Benjamin if James Conner's out. I think Williams is probably going to be the 1A in that situation. But I think you could play them both because they pretty much split the work when Conner went out. For the Rams, Stafford is a QB1. Cooper Kupp, he should dominate, as he always does, but especially in this matchup. Allen Robinson should be a strong wide receiver 3 option. Higbee, this is tight end 1 season for Higbee. A tight end 1 season, not the tight end 1. There's a difference. Akers was definitely more involved last week, leading the team in rushing share as well as targets at the position. So you have to play him, although Henderson was definitely more efficient.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the under. Take Los Angeles to cover, Los Angeles to win. On the Cardinal side, you're still playing Kyler Murray. I think he can still fall into a QB1 week, which is what his backyard play. Darrell Williams, I agree with you. If James Conner can't go for his banged up, he's gonna be the guy to probably lead the team in carries and just touches and opportunities. Benjamin will be involved. So Darrell Williams, I see him more as a RB2. Greg Dortch, keep him going for sure as a reliable, wide receiver 3 option with some wide receiver 2 upside, especially because Rondo Moore is still out, and Marquise Brown. Sorry, yeah, it's the matchups. Talk about a stretch of like 3 amazing matchups he could have had, or 2 in the first 2 weeks. Like, yeah, this team as a whole, yeah, it's rough, but I think I'm still looking at him in that flex conversation. And then on the Ram side, it's Matthew Stafford in a smash spot here for sure. Definitely should be his best week statistically. Uh, Cooper Kupp is going to be his main guy. Allen Robinson with a great bounce back last week, so I think he's a wide receiver 2 in this week actually. And Tyler Higbee is going to continue with the great matchups and going to be able to get many targets in this offense. Um, the running backs is the most intriguing position right now, but I think they're both more top 30 plays. If I had to choose who has the more upside right now, it's kind of tough for sure. It could be where they alternate weeks back to back. So um, just based off the first 2 weeks, I'm gonna still probably lean Darrell Henderson just slightly.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because you want like if you were the coach, you'd be like, all right, I'm going to give Darrell Henderson the ball because he looks really good. But Cam
Yeah,
Akers touched it like a lot last week. I don't
yeah,
have the numbers in front of me, but just based it's a tough situation for sure.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next matchup. Um, the Sunday night football matchup, 8:20 p.m. The 1-1 San Francisco 49ers travel to Denver to take on the 1-1 Denver Broncos. This game has a 45.5-point total where the San Francisco 49ers are 1-point road favorites. In terms of injuries, well, the weather's okay, but in terms of injuries, wide receiver KJ Hamler, he's limited with a knee and a hip. He's questionable. Jerry Jeudy, dealing with that rib injury. He was a DNP early in the week, then got a limited practice in. So I don't really know what his status is for the game. I am not counting on him to play though. Um, yeah, it's tough with Jerry Jeudy, but on the continuing Denver's injuries, Pat Surtain the second, he was DNP with a shoulder. He's banged up, so he's questionable for this game as well. And Josie Jewell, the linebacker, is limited with a knee or with a calf, and then they have a bunch of other guys questionable. But on the San Fran side, Eric Armstead, he's questionable with a foot, and George Kittle is no longer on the injury report. So that is great news there. Greg, what do you got in this matchup? You are on mute, sir.
I'm definitely gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Denver to cover and Denver to win. Um, was very close to switching over to San Fran here, knowing that Judy and Patrick Surtain are possibly both out. I mean, that those are two game-changing players right there. But I'm gonna still take them to win, just being home, and maybe they have the slight edge. Russell gets it done for them. On the Denver side, Russell Wilson, low borderline QB1 in this matchup. The running backs, Javonte Williams, RB1 upside. Melvin Gordon is an RB2. I think their roles getting solidifying nicely, and they're probably both playing pretty well, solidly of late. As far as the receivers, if Judy can't go, that definitely gives a bump to Sutton to get some to lead in targets and get to wide receiver one upside. Even if Judy does go, I think they're both favorable matchups on the outside, so they're playable. Um, but as far as I mean, it was rough last week for sure. I mean, getting that basically pretty much a dud. But if Judy can't go, like it's does open up some targets for him. But I mean, the targets are still should have been there to begin with. So he's definitely a risky play right now. I think if you could find like a Jared Everett, Tyler Higbee, Tyler Conklin, um, other matchups to play over him, I would go with that. Even Irv Smith Jr. as well. Um, and then on the San Fran side, Jimmy G being back, another option possibly for this late slot for streaming category. I mean, he knows this offense. He produces when he's in it. So I think he's not going to kill you in this game. And then as far as their running backs, um, Eli Mitchell still being out. Jeff Wilson Jr. RB2 territory with Jimmy G being there. They might rely on the run game more. He's not getting carries still from him by Trey Lance. Debo Samuel might get some carries, but still, Jeff Wilson Jr. is RB2, solid RB2. And with Patrick Surtain out, that does open up some matchups for the outside for Debo to be, in that wide receiver one category. Brandon Ayuk does help him a little bit to enter that flex conversation for me. And George Kittle, man, he's back. Good matchup. I think he shows people why he's George Kittle on the field.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to take the over here. I'm going to take San Fran to cover, San Fran to win. In terms of the fantasy stuff on the Denver side, Javonte Williams, he's an RB1 option. I think he's one of those guys that's underperformed in the red zone. So he's due for some touchdown regression. Cortland Sutton, I mean, depending on what happens with Judy, he could see a ton of targets here. So, I think he's definitely a wide receiver two with some wide receiver one upside. I think regardless of whether Judy plays or not, because I think Judy could end up being limited, in this game here. Melvin Gordon, he's a low end RB3. I love Jeff Wilson's volume, like the volume that he's gonna get in this game, right? Like they just signed Marlon Mack from the practice squad. Um, you know, they don't have Elijah Mitchell. They don't have Tyrion Davis Price. Jordan Mason didn't touch the ball last week. Um, yeah, and Jimmy G's at quarterback. So this is going to be a
Yeah.
normal offense, a normal Shanahan offense. I think Jeff Wilson should see a ton of opportunities. And he's also another guy that has underperformed in the touchdown category relative to his red zone opportunities. So, I think he's a guy that should have, be a high end RB2 this week. Debo Samuel, he's a wide receiver too. And then Brandon Ayuk, you think he's a wide receiver too, but he's definitely got more upside this week as well because, Debo Samuel will take some opportunities as as a running back, which leads to more opportunities as a pass catcher for Ayuk. And then Kittle, tight end one. Yeah, he's going, so he's a tight end one.
Yes, sir.
Um, I on the last game, did either one of us talk? I didn't talk about Allen Robinson. I don't think I did I?
Oh, I did. Well, I
Oh,
mean, I think you did as well. Yeah, we
I
both
did.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
should
yeah.
be
We
strong
mentioned
wide
Allen
receiver.
Robinson.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. I just want to make
he's
sure.
he's back.
Strong wide receiver 3. That's what I said, but just in case I didn't say it. Anyway, moving on to the last matchup, the most exciting matchup for Greg at least.
Sir.
The 1-1 Dallas Cowboys, led by Cooper Rush, traveled to MetLife Stadium to take on the 2-0 New York Giants, led by Daniel Jones. This game has a 39.5 point total. The New York Giants are 2.5 point favorites. there is chance of rain in the area. Safety Jerron Curse for the Dallas Cowboys. He was a DNP in practice with a knee injury. Linebacker Michael Parsons, he's questionable with an illness. Tight end Dalton Schultz, highly questionable. So I would definitely find alternative options in this one. Maybe Daniel Bellinger in the same game. Michael Gallup, he's a full participant in practice. He's questionable with the knee. Likely that he could make his return this week, but maybe you wait and see. Dak Prescott, he's out, obviously, but he returned to practice, which is good news. He was throwing a softball, I think, softball size ball, doing some gripping and some throwing with that. So
he's got to do his Russell Wilson, like go out before the game and do a fake drive,
Yeah, Russell Wilson. Did you see the video of him doing he was coming out for practice?
Like this?
Yeah, like he was running through the. I'm like, bruh.
He has to be number one cheesiest player in the NFL.
Easily.
Yeah, easily.
Everybody got on Channing Crowder when he called him a square and corny and all this other stuff. But I'm like, nah, bro. I get what Channing is saying.
Yeah.
I get what Channing is saying. No. Look, I love Russ. I think he's great. He's great at football. He's a great man, great person. Like, love all that stuff. But there's no way that you can't say that he's the cheesiest person. Like Scott Fish tweeted out something that is very, very true. Like when you think about it, like however corny you think Russ is, just think this is the version of him that our publicist lets us see, that his publicist lets us see. Like, so there's probably another version that we're not even seeing.
Oh man.
Anyway, I don't even know how we got talking about Russ, but for the Giants, in terms of injuries, Azeez Ojulari, he's limited with a calf. Kayvon Thibodeau, questionable with a knee. Leonard Williams, DNP with a knee. Kadarius Toney, limited with a hamstring. Wan'Dale Robinson was a DNP with a knee. And then they got a bunch of other guys questionable here. Greg, what say you on this matchup?
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the Giants to cover and the Giants to win. I think they get it done with their defense, as I think's been the star of this team the last couple of weeks. So I think that continues to drive them to get some victories. On their offensive end, on their end, Saquon Barkley, you're starting him as an RB1. And as far as the pass catchers, if I want a pass catcher, it's Richie James right now. That's who I want. I think he's starting to enter that flex category. So if you're in desperate need of a receiver or deep league flex, I think he is the play. Shepard will get targets, but his A-dot is so low right now. He's just not doing anything with that. So unless you're in like a 2-point PPR league, something crazy, like there's no reason for Sterling Shepard to be playing right now. And then as far as on the Dallas side, Zeke, he is RB3, almost low, like RB4 territory now, RB3. I think you can, if you have a better player at the running back position, you can make the argument to bench him. And as far as the passing game, Tony Pollard is the running back if I'm on to play, just because it's a athletic Giants defense. I think you want to put a more athletic pass catcher, running back type out there. So I think Tony Pollard could get be flex value. Noah Brown, as far as the receiver, Michael Gallup is back, but I think he's going to be eased in. So I'm still going to be he's a stash for me. Noah Brown, as far as the receivers, and Michael Gallup are the guys CeeDee Lamb are the guys I'm looking at to be in that flex wide receiver 2 upside category.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to take Dallas to cover. I'm going to take Dallas to win. Think that on the fantasy side, CeeDee Lamb, he's a wide receiver 3 flex option. Michael Gallup likely to return in this one. Probably a stash, right? Like I think you said the same thing, right? Just stash him. There's no sense in trying to play him in this game. Noah Brown definitely has some intrigue as a deeper flex as well. Tony Pollard and Zeke, both wide receiver or running back 3 flex options. On the Giants side, Saquon Barkley, he's a top RB1 option. And then I agree with you, Richie James. He's a wide receiver 2. Sterling Shepard, probably a closer to a wide receiver 3 floor play. And then Kadarius Toney, I think you got to stash him. I mean, I like he was more.
I'm
He was
only giving him
more.
like 1 or 2 more weeks though. Like,
But he was more involved last week, right?
hmm hmm
Like than the week before. So to me, that's trending up in the right direction. So, if he does, and he's a Sterling Shepard injury away.
oh
Not
yeah,
saying I
yeah,
wish anything on anybody, but like we talk
talent.
about Sterling Shepard, he's due because he
Yeah,
pays for it in his contract that he's got to be injured. So, he it's only it's he's contractually obligated to be injured at some point. So Kadarius Toney gonna have an opportunity. I mean, he's got the same contract, so he could end up being injured as well. But yeah, looks like Greg may be frozen.
oh,
Nope,
no,
we're
I'm
back.
back. Yes, sir.
I was about to
Yeah.
say you
Here's
can't be
some Giants
frozen.
hate. Hearing Kadarius Tony hate, just it messed up the connection. Because it's not talent. Like it's the coaches. They don't mess with. They're not just jiving right now. I mean, but yeah, he's definitely
I
an
mean, he's
injury
not
away. I
getting.
guess
He
not
played
like he's
more
an injury
snaps.
away. He's probably the best receiver on the team. Like he just needs to play. Like
I mean, he's got more. He played more snaps than Kenny Galladay did last week.
like even when he gets the ball, like he jukes like at least 4 people. Like it's crazy. Like he just moves different out there. So yeah, I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah, it's definitely
Can only be stashed for so long though.
nope for sure. You can only stash for so long. I mean, it depends on
Yeah.
this. It also depends on your roster. Right? Like if
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm 2-0, looking at 3-0, like, and he has
Yeah.
another bad game, like I might sit there. I'm like, I'll just put Kadarius Toney on my team because that's what it's about,
Yeah.
right? Finding these
Yeah.
guys with that upside. Like we've seen the upside from Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Nobody on
Oh
the
yeah.
Giants
Absolutely.
roster could do what Kadarius Toney did against
Yep.
Dallas last year, right? Like 10 for 189. We all witnessed it. Like
Mm.
nobody else
Oh,
can do it. So
I need that.
we've been chasing that game ever since, but it's but we're gonna get it again. All right, now it's time for the money time, man. These starts of the
Sir.
week. Let's get to work, Greg. Who is your quarterback start of the week this week?
Or I said he had a smash spot this week. Definitely gonna be his best statistical game. I'm going Matthew Stafford going against the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they're getting up about 40 attempts a game. So this bodes for another high passing volume game where they rely on the receivers Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. But I think the interceptions and the touchdown number go up. He got 3 last week, a great bounce back against Atlanta. I think he gets to 3 again this week, limits those interceptions, and Matthew Stafford is due for another, I think, a top 5 day. He was QB10 last week. I think he bumps that up this week.
Yeah, I like Matthew Stafford this week. He's definitely somebody that was in consideration for me. But I had to go with a guy that needs, sorry, I didn't even put your quarterback start of the week
No,
up
it's cool.
there,
It's cool.
Greg.
It's cool. Arizona,
The guy,
worst team against QBs right now too.
I mean, that's why I went Derek Carr last week,
Yep. Yep.
Arizona, so yeah, somebody who I think they need a little confidence start of the week here. And I don't have a lot of this guy, but I feel like people that have him are like kind of in panic right now.
hmm
So I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow versus my New York Jets. Gets a matchup here against the Jets, 4.5-point favorites in a game with a decent total. But both these teams are 1 and 2 in pass attempts, and his weapons have some good matchups. I trust Joe Burrow this week in a game where the Bengals are trying to avoid falling to 0-3 here. So Joe Burrow is going to have to make some plays. He's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I think Hayden Hurst as well is in a good matchup. So they're going to make some plays for sure.
Yeah, though definitely like Joe Shiesty going against the Jets. I mean, he's definitely got to have that bounce back week because everyone thinks they're in a Super Bowl hangover right now for sure.
Definitely. Greg, who's your running back start of the week this week?
I mean, yeah, that kind of ties into your quarterback start of the week. I'm going with Joey Mixon against the New York Jets. Again, talk about a guy that is getting volume, but definitely produces with that 27 carries in week 1, 19 last week. He's still getting targets out there as well. Had combined for 13 this year as well targets. So he's doing both on the carries in and the receiving in. But I think this time where it's going to happen is that touchdown department. He still has no touchdowns yet in this week. In this year, a guy that can be explosive if the offense is explosive, which I think they'll get opportunities in the red zone. Joe Mixon is in for a touchdown, I think, and he's going to in for a top 5 rushing day, running back day for sure against the Jets.
Yeah, I like that one as well, Joe Mixon. I mean, again, we're on the same page. He was definitely somebody as well that was in good consideration for me. I mean, there's some decent matchups this week for the running backs. You know, Leonard Fournette's another guy that I strongly considered putting in this spot here based on his matchup, but I went with another guy that needs a confidence start of the week here, and that's going with Dalvin Cook going up against Detroit. It's not often I get to pick Dalvin Cook as a start of the week, so I'm going to use
Word.
this as my opportunity. I alluded to a potential squeaky wheel game earlier in the week. Head coach Kevin O'Connell talked about needing to get Cook the ball more, and what a better opportunity than against the division rival Detroit Lions, who Cook averages 106 rushing yards and one whole touchdown against the Lions in 6 career games. I think Cook gets it going this week against the Lions for a nice bounce back week.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dalvin Cook's one of the best games has been against Detroit. So, yeah, I like this matchup for sure.
Greg, your wide receiver start of the week this week.
I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks going against the Chicago Bears. I think more one because he's still getting that volume. He's top 10 at the wide receiver position in targets, getting 11 targets per game. That's pretty high. That's wide receiver one number right there. But the production I think will come here going against Chicago. Weak matchups on the outside. Really the dominant guy for touches. I think Houston is going to make this a game. I think I picked him to win the game too. So yeah, he's going to be a big part of that. Brandon Cooks going to dominate.
Yeah, we always love Brandon Cooks on this show, so definitely like that. For me, my wide receiver start of the week. I sensing a theme here with my wide receiver starts of the week. I swear it wasn't, or my starts of the week here, and I swear it wasn't on purpose. But another guy that I feel like needs that confidence start of the week, going with Brandon Ayuk, going up against Denver. Pat Surtain, questionable there with that shoulder. Justin Simmons, he's also, he's on IR, so Denver is hurting in the secondary. And then, last week was the first game with the first whole game without Elijah Mitchell, which means that we saw Deebo Samuel playing more in the backfield. And it was also, we saw a game where we saw Jimmy G stepping in at quarterback. The end result, Ayuk seeing a team leading 33% target share. So he's averaging almost 15 yards per reception right now. I think Ayuk has a mini breakout right here with Jimmy G in the lineup. So I said he's a strong wide receiver two. I say he's a wide receiver two play, but I think he's definitely a strong wide receiver two play. So if you got him sitting there on your bench, you've been questioning, I think he's definitely a strong wide receiver two flex option for you this week.
Yeah, definitely like that. That would definitely help his confidence. And Jimmy G being back, that could open up the pass game a little bit. So yeah, it looking good.
Yeah, definitely. Greg, your tight end start of the week this week.
This is definitely he's back. He's got to produce for where you drafted him. It's got to be George Kittle going against Denver. Just not even matchup. This is all about him being back on the field. With Jimmy G open up the pass game. He talks about how he's going to get more attempts. Jimmy G relies on George Kittle a lot for drive movers and everything like that. So I think George Kittle's in a great spot here to come back in, lead the team in targets, and be a dog like he usually is.
Yeah, look, man, love me some George Kittle. So I like this one here. Um, I'm going with Dallas Goddard against Washington. I talked about this one earlier in the week, kind of alluded. I said he's in a start of the week type spot here. Um, Goddard's killing it right now. He's the tight end 8 in total PPR points, but he's the tight end 7, but he and the tight end 7 are the only ones who haven't scored a touchdown. So he's got room for more upside. His quarterback in Jalen Hurts is hot right now. Some of that has to drip to Goddard. who has a great matchup here against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert's been killing. I mean, he was my start of the week, I think in week 2. I think last week, yeah. So, or nah, actually, I've
Week
just been
one.
loving his matchup. Week 1, yeah. So, Dallas Goedert's been man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now it's time for the time that everybody wants to see. We play
Yes,
some
sir.
get
Got my
money.
got my dub last week. Shout out to Amon-Ra St. Brown, you know.
Yes, sir. Greg got a dub 118.28 to 87.68 over here. So it was rough for me last week. But we're gonna bounce back. So right now Greg's made it 1-1.
Mhm.
And Greg gets the first pick here because it is week 3.
In our week.
It's
Yes,
Ox.
sir. So I'm gonna take Joe Mixon as my RB1. Slide him in there against the Jets at 8,200.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna leverage that a little bit. I'm gonna get Jamar Chase, 8,500. Also going against the Jets.
Okay, I like that. I'm gonna take a smash by here. Hopefully, finish the wide receiver one, Davante Adams at 8,700 as my wide receiver one going against Tennessee.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna slide in Drake London at 6,200 as my second wide receiver.
Drake London, like that. I'm gonna go with the second wide receiver, 7,800. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just slide him in there. I mean, I'm gonna just keep having rolling until the wheels fall off, which they won't. So just keep rolling against Minnesota, wide receiver 2.
That's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get Garrett Wilson going up against Cincinnati.
Ooh.
Get the cross game stack and my
Okay.
in lineup stack, 6,100 going up against Cincy.
At tight end, I'm gonna go with Tyler Higbee, 5,700. Got probably one of the best matchups at tight end this week, and he's still pretty cheap for a tight end one.
You scared the crap out of me right there because I thought you were gonna take my guy. So luckily, good thing I don't have to take him right now. I'm gonna take Mariota at 7,300. He's my quarterback stream of the week, going up against Seattle. So and I get the stack between him and Drake London.
I'm gonna go with a leverage play here. My wide receiver 3. I'm gonna take Elijah Moore in that same Cincinnati Jets game, 5,500.
I like that.
Yeah, wide
I like
receiver 3. Yes, sir.
I like that. So at running back, I gotta lock in my guy here, Dalvin Cook, my running back start of the week, going up against Detroit.
I'm gonna go at my flex, Marquise Brown, 7,000. In that Rams Arizona game. Yeah, hopefully he just falls into a touchdown, gets these touches in this hopefully high scoring game.
For me in my flex, well, I'll go tight end first. Oh, I guess I'll go flex. At flex, I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson, 9,500. So
Whew. I'm gonna take Matthew Stafford at quarterback, 7,700. Quarterback start of the week. Slide him in there, solidify that. Yep.
At tight end, I'm gonna get Dallas Goedert for 5,500.
And then my RB2, taking Nyheim Hines, going against Kansas City for Indianapolis, 5,100. I think should be a good matchup for him. Get involved in this game, hopefully high scoring.
Okay. For my defense, I'm gonna actually. This is crazy. I'm gonna go with the Jets defense. They play against Cincinnati, who Joe Burrow gets sacked a ton. So I'm just looking for some points there from my defense.
And I'm gonna take the New Orleans Saints at 4,300 going against Carolina. That should be a pretty good play for them. I mean, they just are able to wreak havoc even against Tom Brady and boys last week. They should have no problem with Baker.
Yeah, no. I am going to at running back. There's a few guys here that I could go with, and I'll talk through it. You're done, right? You're done.
Yeah, I'm done.
Talk,
yeah, I'm
I'll
locked in.
talk through it. I mean, I've got $4,900 left, and there's a few running backs that I'm willing to play here in this spot. Darrell Williams probably being at the top of the list. He's again only 4,900. He's, like we said, could be the 1A for James Conner. Brandon Bolden's also an interesting option. He's 4,800. Josh Jacobs, he did not travel with the team to Tennessee to play in the 1 p.m. games, which we broke down yesterday. So there's some volume being missed there, as well as the rookie Zamir White could be involved. And then the last guy I was considering here is Tyler Algier, who he's 4,800, saw 10 carries last week. I'm not going to go with him because I have Mariota and Drake London already, but I will take Darrell Williams. I was just wanted to talk through those low price options for the people out there watching and listening, so you guys can consider some of these guys, because they're kind of like free squares that allow you to jam in some of these studs into your lineup. All right, Greg, run through your lineup real quick for the people.
That winning lineup, going with Matthew Stafford, 7,700 at quarterback. Joe Mixon, 8,200. That's my RB1 going against the Jets. Nyheim Hines, 5,100 as my RB2. Devontae Adams, 8,700 as my wide receiver 1. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7,800 as my wide receiver 2. Elijah Moore at 5,500 as my wide receiver 3. And that same matchup against Cincinnati. Tyler Higbee as my tight end, 5,700. And Marquise Brown, 7,000. And as my defense, the New Orleans Saints going against Carolina at 4,300.
7,000 is a lot of money for like 9.5 half PPR points.
This is the blow-up game. This is the blow-up game. Yeah.
I hope so. Yeah, for me at quarterback, I got Marcus Mariota, 7,300. My running back start of the week, Dalvin Cook, 8,300. At my RB2, I've got Darrell Williams, 4,900, going up against the Rams. Drake London is my wide receiver, going up against Seattle for 6,200. Jamar Chase going up against the New York Jets at 8,500. Get a little in-game stack here. Garrett Wilson going up against the Cincinnati Bengals at 6,100. At tight end, I get my tight end start of the week, Dallas Goedert. And then in my flex spot, I've got Justin Jefferson going up against Detroit. So I get a cross stack with Greg here, but also monopolize most of the Minnesota offense. And then at my defense, the New York Jets, 3,700.
Yeah, like that. Definitely rethinking this Marquise Brown play now after you said that, because looking at those people that also are 7,000.
You said what?
Oh man, looking at those people who are also 7,000. It's crazy. It's crazy. First of all, Alexander Madison is 7,000, which is wild.
Yeah, I guess they're the Detroit thing, and they're going to run the football.
Yeah, they're going to be blown out and stuff. Okay, I mean, I guess, yeah.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. Gonna close this out, and yeah, everybody have a good weekend. And obviously, we're going to be back here on Monday to recap everything, the week that was, and hopefully, we're talking about some guys. Yeah.
Sir.
Anything else you want to say to the people, Greg, before we close this out?
3-0, G-Man, baby. You already know. We about to be here. Yes, sir.
Hey, hopefully the 3-0 is a 0-3 for the Bengals. so the Jets could get 2-1 because it'd be fun. It'd be good. Fun for me, at least, not for the Bengals fans, I'm sure. Anyways, y'all, we always appreciate y'all. We always have fun every time we do this. And yeah, have a good one, everybody. Good luck this weekend. And we're out of here.
Yeah.